I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm too frustrated to even like set up my microphone, like take it off the stand here. So we're going to do this like Frank Sinatra style and we're going to talk into it. But like what is this? What are we doing here? What are we doing? What's going on, everybody? My name is Ethan. Welcome back to Hard Cap Games, another episode of the sports edition here on the channel, which we do sometimes. We don't do them all the time. We do them sometimes, and I feel especially compelled to talk about this topic right now. As some of you know, I am born and raised in Massachusetts. I was born in '99, making me 24 years old, which is approximately the same exact length of Tom Brady's career. And I've grown up a Patriots fan for my entire life. I've never seen a team look this pathetic that wasn't called the Cleveland Browns or Detroit Lions. The New England Patriots just wrapped up a game against the Las Vegas Raiders, which they lost again. Their only win this year is over the New York Jets, and they haven't looked good in any game so far this year, even the win over the Jets. And I think most Patriots fans are mad. I'm going to go with mad. That's the word I'm going to choose to use today. Now, there's a lot of hot takes out there about what's going on with the Patriots. What's doing this, what's doing that. And to say that I'm not going to add to the fire of hot takes on this one is probably a lie. I'm going to say some hot takes. I'm going to start with this one. It may not be a hot take. Mac Jones, simply not the guy for the New England Patriots. Back in 2021, the New England Patriots were coming off a season where they had Cam Newton at quarterback. You guys remember the Cam Newton era of Patriots football? That was interesting. At least we could score touchdowns. And they had the 15th overall pick in that draft, if I'm remembering that number correctly. And they selected Mac Jones, who was number 5 of really 5 good quarterbacks in that draft. And Mac has underperformed. He's not the biggest bust. He's not Trey Lance. But he has massively underperformed in every possible circumstance. The only time he hasn't underperformed was when Josh McDaniels was his offensive coordinator in his rookie year, which is where he went, I think they were 11-6 or 10-7 that year. It was a respectable season. Mac had a good year. He went to the playoffs, and then they promptly got the snot beaten out of them by Buffalo, which was to be expected. But we're getting to a point now where Mac Jones is nearly unplayable. But is it all entirely Mac Jones's fault, is the question. I say no. So if it's not Mac Jones's fault, then whose is it? Well, it's quite simply the entire team. The entire team is just absolutely devoid of talent at every position. And it's honestly pretty embarrassing how bad this team is. Mac is definitely a bottom 10 starting quarterback in the NFL. So he's a problem. Don't get me wrong, he's a problem. But the rest of the roster is just not good. And look, I can already hear all of you Patriots haters coming out of the woodwork being like, well, you already won like 6 Super Bowls in the last 20 years. You guys should be happy with that. No, that's not how that works. I'm sorry if you and your fan base have become accustomed to being not good. Like if you're Detroit and right now you're just riding the coattails of being like, we're a good team finally, cool. New England expects excellence out of the Patriots, especially after the last 20 years, because the coach is still the same. It's still Bill Belichick. So if Bill Belichick is still the coach, then why aren't they excellent anymore? What happened? Is there something with Bill? Was it never Belichick all along? These are questions that us in New England And like guys on the radio, the callers call in and be like, hey, Mike, listen, I don't think Bill Belichick's the guy. I think we need to move on from him and find a new guy. But no. This is the issue, is that it's an entire organizational issue. Everyone is at fault for this team being bad. You can't just point it at one thing and say that's the reason the Patriots are currently, what are they, 1-6, 1-5, I think? 1-5. We can go position by position if you want to. We can do that. I can put it up right here. We can go position by position. I'm totally fine doing that. So first things first, I want you to look at this entire depth chart. Everything here. Hopefully I'm still in the frame. I do not care. I can't see it right now. Mac Jones is the quarterback. That's consistent. Malik Cunningham got moved up from 4th string to 2nd string because I guess Will Grier couldn't play today. And Bailey Zappi has gone in for Mac Jones 2 times in the last 3 weeks. He didn't go in today. They actually didn't sub out Mac today because Mac was having a not atrocious game until the final minute. But they elevated Malik Cunningham up. So it's Mac Jones, Malik Cunningham, Bailey Zappi, Will Grier. Not great. Running back room is Ramondre Stevenson, who's solid. Zeke, who at one point in time was okay. And Ty Montgomery. And your 3rd string running back doesn't have to necessarily be the best, right? I get that. That's fine. The wide receiver room is pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. There is no bona fide number 1 receiver on this team. There is no guy that can get that separation that you need, aside from Juju, who is, as you can clearly see, injured. Devontae Parker was always like a really solid player down in Miami. Comes up here, useless. Does not want to catch the ball. Demario Douglas, injured. I like him. He's injured. Kayshon Boutte, injured. Trey Nixon, injured. Kendrick Bourne, just now started getting receptions and targets. Wasn't getting those before. Tyquan Thornton, the dude's made of... have you looked at this dude's legs? Have you looked at his legs? This dude's made of toothpicks. He's going to snap in half. And then, Malik Cunningham, that's funny. He's also the quarterback. Juju Smith-Schuster, like I said, injured. Jalen Reagor, I didn't even know he was on this team. I watch this team every week. I did not know he was on this team. Because he doesn't play. Hunter Henry at tight end and Mike Gesicki, on paper, is a really good combo. Because if there's one thing we know about Belichick, is that he loves a good tight end. That's why he went out and signed Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith in the same offseason, which I thought was a really good move at the time. Hunter Henry, disappointing. Jonnu Smith obviously got traded because he stunk. Mike Gesicki, brought up from Miami, and it's starting to become pretty clear that maybe it was the offensive system in Miami down there the last couple of years with McDaniels that's making him look really good. Pharaoh Brown, I don't know who that is. That's a hoot moment, you know? This is the problem. This part. Trent Brown, I have never seen a man make less stops than Trent Brown. I feel like every time I see pressure in the backfield, it's because Trent Brown goes, lost my guy. I don't know where he went. And then he gives up on the play. He stinks. Cole Strange, here's a funny thing about Cole Strange. You had Shaq Mason, who's one of the best offensive linemen in the league. You trade him to Tampa? It was Tampa, right? Trade him to Tampa for like a 6th round pick, which I think ended up being Kayshon Boutte. You draft Cole Strange in the 1st round to be his replacement, and he's not a 1st round talent. I believe there's a thing, I forget which coach it was, talking about how we were concerned whether Cole Strange was going to be there at pick 120.
How about that? And we wasted our time watching him thinking he'd be at 104 maybe.
David Andrews is good. Mike Onwenu looked really good at the beginning of his career, not so much now. Vidarian Lowe, don't know who that is. Full honesty. I don't know who that is. They also signed Riley Reif. or Rife. I don't know. He's good, but he's, once again, injured. Sidy Sow is a rookie, so I'm willing to give him like a little bit of leeway. But like from what I see, he's just not doing the job. And Jake Andrews, who? Belichick has always gotten by with a good defense. He's always had like really good defense to make up for the fact that he does not value offense at all, which is crazy. Because he had Tom Brady. Imagine how many more Super Bowls they could have won if they had actually gotten him a real receiver like they did with Randy Moss. Even though they didn't win the Super Bowl that year. If they had gotten Brady more receivers than Philip Dorsett and Chris Hogan, the lacrosse player, I think that they would have been much better in the 2010s than the 3 Super Bowls that they won. But Belichick has always built good defenses, and I don't understand why this year is the year that the defenses decide to not be good. It's interesting. Because on paper, not much changed, except that they lost McCourty. Devin McCourty retired. Dietrich Wise, still here. Devon Godshaw, still here. Lawrence Guy, still here. Marte Mapu is a rookie. Trey Flowers is injured right now. Matt Judon is out for the year, so Marte Mapu is getting the snaps. That's fine. Jawan Bentley, I like Jawan Bentley. Jelani Tavai, not a huge fan of him. Josh Uche looked a lot better in college than he does now. The cornerback room is atrocious, though. Have you looked at this cornerback room? Jonathan Jones, questionable all the time. Miles Bryant is number 2 right now. Because J.C. Jackson is like a total wild card, and you never know when he's going to like do a backflip and RKO someone. He's crazy. Sean Wade, I don't know who that is. Full honesty. Adrian Phillips is fine. He's a decent backup safety to Kyle Duggar. I like Duggar. Jabril Peppers. I like Jabril Peppers. I like Jalen Mills. Jack Jones is injured for the year. Christian Gonzalez is injured for the year. Amir Speed, even when he was at Michigan State, if you know me, you know I'm a Michigan State fan. That could be a whole other video. I didn't love Amir Speed at Michigan State. I was very shocked to see his name get called in the 6th round. Very, very shocked. I did not think he was going to get drafted. Marcus Jones also injured for the year. So, like, this team is just not good. It's not a good roster. This is probably a bottom roster in the league, right? Like, this is like the roster that like everybody's gonna rebuild with if you're doing a Madden franchise, right? And you want a team that really, really stinks. You want to rebuild them all from scratch because you can get rid of everybody on the team without really feeling the impact of it. Pick the Patriots. You'll never feel regret over it. You can trade everybody, and you'll probably lose one more game than the current, like 2-14 2-15 this team is on track for. Now, on the topic of Mac, swinging back to Mac for a second, Mac has not been helped at all. I mean, if you watch any Patriots game, you'll see that sometimes he places balls perfectly in his receiver's hands, and they just bounce right off. And you're like, what the heck? Why'd you do that? It just happened. At the end of the game, it went straight to Devontae Parker. He puts his hands out and it bounces off his hands. And you're like, dude, are you serious? You were wide open. You could have taken it to the house and have won the game if you had caught that ball and it bounced off your hands. It's pathetic. The weapons on this team are pathetic. They're embarrassingly bad. Mac Jones makes a lot of terrible throws, though. Oh my goodness. It's like he either places the ball perfectly and his receiver drops it, or he sails it 20 yards over their head. This must be what it felt like to watch the Jets in the Sam Darnold era, right? It must be. Or even like the Zach Wilson era, which is still going on, I know that, and they just beat the Eagles like 5 minutes ago. But I don't get it. So who's really to blame here? And it's Mac. Mac's not playing well. Belichick is not helping him with the offensive coaching and scheming. Bill O'Brien, I feel like, is doing the best he can, but the guys just aren't making the plays when they're there. Also, this is Mac Jones' 3rd offensive coordinator in 3 years, one of which was Matt Patricia and Joe Judge. That's bad. That's really bad. You can't have that and be a successful franchise. So the blame's just everywhere. it's not like you can just point to like with the Broncos last year, I feel like you could really just kind of point at Nathaniel Hackett and be like, yeah, no, this guy's a fraud. He's a loser. And be like, oh, the team will figure it out. They haven't quite figured it out yet because I don't think Sean Payton's the guy for them either, but they'll have to figure that one out the hard way. But you can't just point to one thing and be like, this is the problem with the team. So what do the Patriots do? It's impossible to like really make a determination on this because the easy thing to do is to say, fire Bill Belichick, get a new quarterback. Not happening. Get a new quarterback could happen. Is Bill Belichick too stubborn to go draft a quarterback? Probably. Because Belichick doesn't like to admit that he failed. He'd rather be a whiny little diva about it than admit that he failed. Which he would have to do if he drafted another quarterback before Mac Jones' contract expired. If he goes out and signs a free agent this offseason, or makes a trade for a quarterback like Kirk Cousins or someone, you lose. You're wasting your time and your money. Also, Belichick's never going to do it. You fire Belichick, he's 20 wins away from passing Shula, I believe. He's like somewhere around 20 wins away. He's still looking for number 300. So I think he's 20. He is going to go to, I don't know, Washington and pick up 6 wins a year for the next 3 years to pass Shula or something like that. You can't let him do that. So is Belichick going to stay here until he passes that benchmark? He might be here another 15 years at that rate with this current roster he's constructed. You can't take away his GM duties because if you take away his GM duties, he's going to walk anyways. Belichick doesn't know how to craft rosters. He doesn't know how to do it. He's never been good at it. I mean, take a look at any Patriots roster during the Tom Brady era. There are glaring holes in every one of them. A lot of the time, it's the receiving core. For a good majority of the time, he had Welker or Edelman, or he had Gronk, or something like that, right? Some guy that you could trust to make the play. There's no guy you can trust to make the play right now. But the wide receiver room is always really short. And the running back room is also always really short. Shane Vereen and Stephen Ridley were running backs on this team that went to a Super Bowl. James White was a form of consistency for this team for about 8 or 9 years at the running back position. James White's not he's not the best player of all time. He should have won the Super Bowl MVP, but he's not the best player of all time. He's a good player. Belichick's always gotten by, though, with being a great defensive coach and building really, really terrible offenses to go with Tom Brady, which is why I understand why Brady left. This must have been incredibly infuriating to be Tom Brady. So at this point, what do you do with this roster? Well, you currently have the second worst record in the league. Go for number 1, baby. That's all the Patriots can do at this point is tank, I think. And I know we're 6 games into the year, but is this team really about to win like 9 games straight to go 10-6 or something like that? 10-7 maybe? Like you're just going to start rattling off some wins to make the playoffs? And for what? To get destroyed by Miami in the first round in a 70-2 bout? 70-3. They wouldn't score a safety. This defense doesn't have that ability. This roster is not going to do that. You're going to lose. You might as well trade off the pieces you can get for draft capital while you can. That requires Belichick to admit that he's made a mistake and that he has failed. And he's never going to do that. So I don't know what to do with them. I don't know what to do with the Patriots. It's clear Mac's not the guy. So maybe you just don't make any changes and you roll out into the draft next year. You bench Mac, you play Malik Cunningham for a decent portion of the year maybe. Like maybe in like week 10, you bench Mac forever and you're like, sorry kid, didn't work out. And you play Malik Cunningham because he's fun, because he can run the ball and he's just play a bunch of triple option things. I don't know, he might be fun. And to see how it goes. And then you finish with a 2-15 record. You go and draft either Caleb Williams or Drake May. And you go sign some receivers, Bill. You draft and sign receivers. I think the best thing that the Patriots could do would be to trade a guy like maybe Dietrich Wise or Jawan Bentley and see like is there a way that we can move up in the draft to get multiple high first round picks? I think that one thing that they could be possibly in contention for is if you do end up super late or super high up in the draft, if you end up super high up, like within striking range to get Caleb Williams or Drake May, right? Either you have the one or you have the two. You keep your pick, you draft the quarterback, and then you figure out a way to trade up to like 10. And then you draft like Keon Coleman out of Florida State. That gives you a receiver at least. And then you have to go sign a receiver in free agency, Bill. You have to. You can't get it done with Kendrick Bourne, who you clearly don't like, and Devontae Parker, who's just not good. You can't get it done with these guys. It's not going to happen. It's incredibly frustrating. But the Patriots are bottom in the league in most defensive metrics. They're a bottom 7 defense. They were supposed to be a top 5. And I think that they would be maybe somewhere around top 10 if they hadn't lost all these players to injury, like Jack Jones and Christian Gonzalez and Trey Flowers and Matthew Judon. I think they'd still be a solid defense, but I don't know if they'd be top 5. Let me rephrase that. They're definitely not top 5. They're maybe top 15 defense. But these stats are just not good. You can't win games like this. You're not scoring points. You're not stopping your opponents from scoring points. That means you're going to lose every game. So if you guys enjoyed sports content like this, you want me to rant more about some sports, I could rant about Michigan State football for 45 minutes if you let me go for it. If you guys enjoy, just leave a like down below. Subscribe if you are new. Gotta let me know that you want more sports content on the channel. We've had 3 videos, and 2 of them have popped off, and 1 of them is not. So trying to figure out the patterns here, trying to figure out where the channel's going. So leave a like, subscribe, and I'll check you guys in the next one. Peace.